wonderful experience meeting a lot of people who are the leaders of our communities, from the smallest communities like Falconer in the southern tier up to the city of Buffalo, and showing the support of the state of New York to help ease the stress that they're under and help alleviate some of the pressure on them to have to raise taxes. We're working really hard to help our communities manage their expenses, and so we allocated significant dollars to the city of Buffalo, as well as programs for some of our smaller communities, including Jamestown, Falconer, and the village of Hamburg, through downtown revitalization. So happy to take any questions.
We'll start with any on-topics on budget, DRI.
With the downtown revitalization efforts, what have you heard from feedback from these, like the towns that have done it the year last year, year before? What are you hearing from them?
Absolutely transformational. This is something that allows them to realize a dream that they may have had, or plans that they had in the books for years, but never had enough money all in one shot to make it happen. So we have 151 communities across the state of New York that are forever changed because of this, and I'm going to keep it going. And I even created a category of smaller communities that are eligible that were not eligible before. And it's what I'm so excited about these communities, because I used to lead one of them, and I know what it's like to be in those positions where you just feel like, I want this to happen, but I just can't afford it, and we're making it affordable for these communities. So absolutely amazing.
Anyone else on top?
Can I ask a question regarding childcare?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You know, you talked about how universal means everyone in terms of childcare. I've been looking into early intervention in the budget. I've been talking to experts. They're very concerned that as more kids get childcare, also more kids may get evaluated and need early intervention.
Mm-hmm.
However, early intervention rates have not increased meaningfully in 30 years. It is stayed flat this year. Kind of what's your response to those in the early intervention community who are concerned that while it's great more kids will get childcare, some kids who need more specific resources might have delays in getting them?
No, of course, you have to look at the whole ecosystem that you're creating. First of all, we can't provide more childcare unless we have more facilities. So I've spent years with the bricks and mortar and helping people retrofit existing, like getting the space. Secondly, making sure that we have well-qualified individuals who can step into these jobs, which is why I have a free community college program for people who want to get an education degree, or go into early childhood education and intervention programs. So get the locations, get the workforce, and then the funding to make sure that that's successful. So we don't have the crush of individuals yet, because right now we're focused statewide on the 4-year-old program, then the 3-year-old, but it is something, you are correct, I'm keeping my eye on to make sure that we meet the demand when it comes.
So you see it as this kind of step-by-step process?
Right, because we don't have, every child is not in a program right now, but there will come a time when that is exactly the case, because that is my ambition.
Anything else, budget, DRI? Jim?
Couple off topics.
Jim, do you have anything on topic?
Anything else?
Okay, so nobody has any other on topics?
Yep.
We'll then move to off topics. Jim?
Governor, a couple questions. First of all, the legislatures last week approved a moratorium on data centers. Are you going to sign it to make it official? And then also, there's been some issues about the North Hog block and what's being built there, and just wanted to get your
Sure,
sense on it.
sure. First of all, on data centers, I addressed this in my State of the State address back in January. And I said that these data centers that want to come to New York, they have to provide their own power. I cannot have a scenario where they come and they're a drain on our grid, driving up the cost for ratepayers that are just right now being crushed with high utility bills. So I already put that out there, threw down the gauntlet and said that is going to change. With respect to this particular bill, I have over 850 bills. I have to, 700? I lose track. I have a lot of bills to look at between now and the end of December. Some have to be prioritized because there's absolute deadlines that have to occur. So there's a long process. So I don't, as a matter of policy, do not comment on bills that are before me at this time, or even not even yet before me, because I have to do, my legal team has to review every single word, my legislative team, we pressure test, we talk to people affected, and then it comes to me for review. So we've got some time.
But isn't there sort of a conundrum with data centers? On one hand, they're private sector investment, they're creating property tax dollars for municipalities. And true, they're not creating a lot of jobs, and there are environmental issues. So how do you balance that?
No, this is what we're looking at. I also asked some of our agencies to look at, what modeling looks like in terms of best practices, and I want to know what's happening in other states. We've been looking at this for a while, even before the the moratorium came out from the legislature, because we're under enormous pressure to make some decisions on these projects. Right now, they're in the hands of local governments, even the ones that are before local government. Are they getting the best deal they should be? Do they know that this particular company may have, allocated millions of dollars in community benefits over here, but you didn't ask for it, so you didn't get it? Or that in some communities, literally the utility rates have gone down because the data center has absorbed the cost and created enough surplus power, not just for themselves, but for local. So even before I talk about the moratorium, which I have to review, I've also want to make sure that New York communities that have plans before them right now are doing the right thing and getting the best deal they possibly can.
Does
And
this
again,
kind
with the North Odd Block, there's some pushback with the Penrose project. And I know, again, it's sort of a fine line. A, it's bringing more people into Canal Side, which is a good thing.
Hmm?
And I know there's some concern whether it's too much affordable and not enough market rate. So just want to get,
Right. It's important to consider where we are right now. Go past that hole. And those who've been looking at this for, feels like decades, wanting something to happen there, some life there. And for years, there was never enough interest in it. We have tried hard to get developers to build in that location. And there's just been a lot of failure. And I'm tired of failure. And we do need housing. So anybody who has an issue right now certainly was at liberty to respond to the RFP, put forth a plan, 100% market rate or whatever they wanted to do. But very few stepped up because of the economics don't work out for many of these projects anymore. It's just too expensive. Supply chain costs, the rents, you're not able to bring in the kind of rents you can in New York City to offset the cost, but the costs are still high. So there's a lot of reasons why. But I look at the numbers. You look at, if you want to really get into the analysis of this, the 80% level of AMI is almost identical to the market rate. So in truth, it's basically 50-50. But look at the lowest AMI level, 40%. A brand new police officer starting out would qualify for that.
fresh college student.
I'm talking about the AMI is about 100.
Yeah.
We need people of all levels, our recent graduates, our public servants, our teachers who would qualify for the 60% AMI. So let's look at how we can make New York, Buffalo more affordable for everyone, for the working class, for people who are building up the city, who show up for work every day, as well as the market rate. So I think it's a great blend. And again, those who wanted something else certainly could have put forth a different proposal any time over the many years that this was out for bid, and we tried to get takers, and it was very difficult.
Kelly?
Governor, you're here obviously on affordability and lowering costs for families. Those inflation checks went out, but still so many are trying to catch up on their utility bills for the summer. Now we've got a hot summer where people are going to be using air conditioning. Those electrical rates are really still so difficult. It really doesn't feel like families are getting the relief they need. I mean, for
No.
them, the checks are dropping the bucket.
It's brutal. And look at the Trump administration, what they've done. Not only your utility bills, but the cost of gasoline. That didn't have to happen. Gas prices were going down. I think we need to know where a lot of this has come from. And they don't get a pass. They do not get a pass on this. They own this. And there has to be accountability for this. So I feel for these families. I remember filling up my minivan with a couple of kids in the back seat and looking at the price go up and up and up and saying, maybe I can't get a full tank right now. I'll have to try again later in the week. I remember that stress enormously, and that's what families are living under right now. We are spending $1 billion to send out rebate checks for families up to $300,000. Will qualify for $150 to $200 for people lower. It's not everything, but as I saw when we did the refund checks, for those who think it's not enough, something is something, and people are grateful to have that. We also have a ratepayer protection plan. We have a whole host of ideas and reforms to go after the utility companies and tell them they have to do more to reduce the rates or at least stabilize them. And that's also the last part is my all-the-above energy approach. I want to bring more supply to the grid. And part of it is my nuclear program. Part is my all-the-above approach with every aspect of energy. And I'm focused on that. But I don't want to say here that I can take away that pain that people feel at the end of the month. I'm conscious of it. I'm doing what I can, but it is real. And Washington owns an enormous part of that.
And then time for two more, Kurt, and then Channel 2.
Bruce Blakeman's in town. He's gonna be down in Olean later talking about the fracking ban. Can you just kind of give us your thoughts on fracking in general and what, kind of why you feel the ban is necessary?
No, this ban's been in place for years. And, we're following the law of the state of New York. This was, an environmental issue that people saw a lot of information that was very concerning about the effects on the water table and surrounding properties and, literally, gas fumes coming out of people's faucets. So I don't have any guarantee that the technology has gotten any better or more secure. I've not seen that, which is why I'm leaning hard into our renewable energy systems and trying to find a path forward to get more capacity on the grid. But certainly, I would ask people like Bruce Blakeman, what are you doing about the high cost of gasoline, which is more immediate than anything? That is something that people are dealing with every day. Every farmer using diesel, every family member having to fill up that minivan, every first responder having to fill up the tank of a fire truck. I ask what that's all about and how their policies are making lives worse, not better, and what they're going to do about it.
And then last question, too.
You've endorsed Jeremy Zellner for in the Democratic primary for the 61st. In the past, you have been reluctant to endorse somebody for a Democratic primary, saying, we'll see how it plays out. What's changed?
This is a personal relationship. I'm at liberty to change my mind when it comes to someone I've known literally for decades, who's helped me, who's been an ally of mine for a long time, and I believe in his leadership. I've worked closely enough with him to know that he is a fighter. I'll be joining him soon to, he pushed hard to get millions of dollars for public safety and first responders in his community, and I'm going to help him with that. So I know how tough he is. I know what he's capable of, and that's why I need him to continue as our senator. He's also, I just want to say, he's also the incumbent. So my policy is I support incumbents. I have a record of supporting incumbents.
I think a lot of people look at him, though, that whether it's right and legal, that he's still in that Erie County Democratic Party chair role, and now being, someone in office. I think people are getting a bad vibe on that, and they don't like it, and they don't think it's fair.
No, I think that's pretty common all across the country. I mean, there are members of Congress who they're still their county chairs or state chairs. So, there's definitely, this is not unprecedented. It's rather actually quite common. So, all right, thanks everybody.
Thank you.